Recently, I visited a martial arts school and I asked the instructor if he taught self-defense. He replied yes, he did. So I followed up with, well, do you do any sparring? And he said, no, that's too dangerous. Too dangerous, I thought. But then, what a contradiction. You're teaching people how to defend themselves for the purpose of self-defense, but yet, sparring is too dangerous. Well, what can I say? Some traditional martial arts styles believe that sparring is a waste of time because it doesn't represent real life or real fighting. But these same styles or same practitioners within these styles believe that you can substitute the real preparation of fighting with simple drills. Fact is that sparring has a place. Regardless of the martial arts style that you do, sparring is an important component. And here's why. Hand and clinch fighting skills. Important skill sets that we developed when we were training. Important because what it allowed us to do is how to clinch to people's arms, how to spoil their arms and stop them from hitting you, but at the same time put yourself in a situation where you could actually strike them. Sometimes simply just grabbing hold of someone's arms also incapacitates your own arm. It makes it difficult for you to hit them. So one of the skills we trained was the ability to hit when your hands were free. Simple distractions. Well, the idea was that you would set up your strikes by distracting the person. Quite often a thumb in the eye, a flick of your fingers to the eye, even hitting the groin will cause a reaction or a flinch reaction, in which case you could set up bigger strikes or strikes that were more proficient. So even soft targets like the throat were areas that we used to train and practice and hit. Solar plexus was a classic one, you'll see that, but the overall skill was to put pressure on the person to set up a follow-up strike with a distraction. Recovering range, classic part of our training. Wing Chun is quite a close quarter style, and one of the ideas we used to practice was if our space was jammed or our range was jammed, how we'd recover that space by bouncing, moving or angling off. Of course, it would often include controlling the person's arms, spoiling and trapping, but the idea was to recover position, recover range and put yourself in an advantage or an angle where you were blading away and able to strike and hit back and follow up. Control of distance. Well, control of distance is classic to any fighting style. You have to know or control your distance. You're either all the way out or all the way in, as I always say. So we used to practice the skill of being out or in, but more so in, and that would mean that from time to time you would actually close the distance and probably get chest to chest. But the idea was to jam the space and get inside the arms and get inside the joint system to make it really difficult for the person to activate their strength and move. Drawing leads, the domain of any counter fighter. You try to get the person to actually open up. You try to get them to hit you and extend or commit to an attack. And in doing so, one of the skills that we used to practice quite often was actually trying to counter a punch. So quite often I would leave my arm out, or I'd position myself in a way that would draw a lead, or I would hit to engage another hand to come forward and then counter that back against the wall. Excellent piece of training this was. Prior to the UFC, this was a very simple subset, learning how to fight with your back against the wall. Of course, you could say your partner could rush in and hit you, but the difference is you're actually a real, live, offensive fighter. So they're not simply just going to rush in, although they could in the modern day wrestle, take you down to the ground. But we didn't train those skill sets. We trained just to back off, hold the wall, use it for support, and gain some confidence when we couldn't move back. The first thing to note is that we weren't wearing gloves when we used to train. This allowed us to focus on a range of hand fighting skills, but more importantly, actually hit our partner with a reasonable amount of contact. So the rules of engagement were quite simple. You could hit the body relatively hard, but obviously you had to control contact to the face. That doesn't mean you didn't punch the face, it just meant that you would hit the face with bare knuckles quite lightly, or as light as you possibly can with a live punch coming at you. You could question what's the point of hitting with a bare knuckle to the face. Well, it still relies on a reasonable amount of skill. One of the things that I've learned from my own experience of training is that sparring teaches you a number of skills. It's not the practice itself, but it's the skills that you develop. It's an understanding of yourself, both physically, emotionally, and sometimes even the person that you're training with. So sparring is important. It's an exercise that allows you to develop certain physical skills and attributes. Sure, it doesn't represent a real fight. It doesn't put you in a situation where you're stressed, you're anxious, and you're fighting for your life. But what it does do is it gives you a little bit of anxiety with the time to think about what you should be doing, improving your technique, improving your hand-eye coordination, and there's a whole host of skills that go with it as well, including developing your confidence. Once you have better confidence, you fight better, you perform better, and the output of it is that you, as a martial arts practitioner, will enhance your skill, your performance, for the eventual fight that hopefully one day you'll never face. So is sparring worthwhile? Definitely. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. If you'd like to add any of your comments or thoughts, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.